This is a choose-your-own-adventure, horror survival story. At the end of each chapter, it should be up to the listener to choose the next beginning of each chapter with a choice of 3 paths you can take. The Contagion, Chapter 1. The last lab fluorescent lights above flicker with dying gasps, casting erratic shadows across the sterile laboratory floor. You adjust your headlamp and continue working, trying to ignore the acrid smell of smoke drifting through the ventilation system. 3 days since the last generator gave out. 4 days since you've seen another living soul who could still speak in coherent sentences. Your hands shake as you pipette another sample of the crimson fluid into the centrifuge. Even through the thick rubber glass, you can feel the unnatural warmth it radiates. The alien pathogen, if that's what you can even call it, defies every principle of terrestrial biology you've spent your career studying. It's not quite a virus, not quite a bacteria, not quite a fungus. A distant shriek echoes through the building, followed by the sound of breaking glass somewhere on the floor below. Too late, and there's nothing left but screaming hunger and rage. The microscope reveals the same horrifying truth you've witnessed dozens of times before. The alien organism doesn't just invade human cells, it rewrites them. Neural tissue sprouts cancerous tendrils that spread through the nervous system like burning wire. Muscle fibers mutate into something resembling chitinous armor. Bone density increases by 300% while maintaining flexibility. The human body becomes a biological weapon, driven by impulses that feel almost intelligent. Another crash, closer this time. You can hear them moving through the corridors now, their footsteps unnaturally synchronized. They hunt in packs, these former humans. They communicate through subsonic frequencies that make your teeth ache and your vision blur. Sometimes you wonder if they're still human enough to remember what they once were, trapped inside their transformed bodies, screaming silently as they tear apart everything they once loved. Most of the major cities are overrun with the infected, their streets echoing with inhuman wails. But you can't stop, won't stop. Even if it's hopeless, even if you're the last researcher left alive, you have to try. Because somewhere out there, in hidden bunkers and mountain caves, there are still people fighting to survive. Still people who deserve a chance at a cure, no matter how impossible it seems. The lights flicker again and die completely, plunging the lab into darkness save for your headlamp. In the sudden silence, you hear something that makes your skin crawl, the sound of breathing that isn't quite human. Too wet, too deep, too rhythmic, they're right outside the door. You grab the latest blood samples and your research notes, stuffing them into the waterproof case you keep ready for moments like this. The back exit leads to the fire escape, but you've used that route twice already. They might be watching it now. The ventilation shaft could work, but you'd have to leave behind most of your equipment. The basement connects to the old steam tunnels, but those passages are flooded, and God knows what else might be lurking in the dark water. The door handle turns slowly, metal grinding against metal. Through the reinforced glass, you can see shapes moving in the hallway beyond. Their eyes reflect your headlamp beam like animal eyes, but there's something horribly intelligent in their gaze. Something that remembers being human. One of them presses its face against the glass, and you have to bite back a scream. Its features are still recognizably human, but stretched and distorted. The jaw has elongated to accommodate rows of needle-sharp teeth. The eyes have filmed over with a milky substance, but somehow you know it can see you perfectly. Pustules along its neck pulse with bioluminescent fluid dot. It smiles at you. A grotesque parody of human expression, but definitely a smile. Then it begins to scratch against the glass with fingernails that have grown into claws. The sound is like chalk on a blackboard, deliberate and taunting. You realize with growing horror that it's not trying to break in. It's playing with you. They all are. They could have broken down the door by now. You've seen them tear through steel like paper. But they're waiting, watching, savoring your fear. The research case weighs heavy in your hands as you back toward the rear of the lab. 20 years of medical training, and none of it prepared you for this. None of it taught you how to fight monsters that were once human. None of it explained how to cure a plague that seems to operate on principles beyond earthly science. But you've learned things in these past months that no medical textbook could teach. You've learned that the infected are drawn to sound and movement, but they also seem to respond to emotional states: fear, anger, desperation. You've learned that they're stronger and faster than any human has a right to be, but they're not invulnerable. And most importantly, you've learned that giving up is not an option. The scratching stops. In the sudden silence, you can hear your own breathing, harsh and rapid. Then, impossibly, you hear something else. You've seen them mimic human speech before. though never this clearly, never with this much emotion. But the voice sounds so desperate, so genuinely human, that for a moment you almost believe it.
My daughter, the voice continues, and now you can hear sobbing.
She's been bitten, but she's still herself.
Please, if you're the doctor they said was here, please help us.
The scratching at the door has stopped completely.
Through the glass, you can see the infected creatures have moved away from the entrance, but they're still there, still watching, still waiting.
This could be your chance to escape.
Or it could be exactly what they want you to think.
Your headlamp beam sweeps across the laboratory one final time, illuminating the equipment you've spent months gathering, the samples you've collected at enormous personal risk, the notes that represent humanity's only hope for understanding this plague.
If you leave now, you'll lose everything, but if you stay, you might lose your life, and somewhere in the darkness beyond the door, a child might be dying.
Your choices. 1. Open the door and try to help the voice claiming to have an infected daughter, knowing it could be a trap but unable to ignore the possibility of saving someone.
2. Escape through the ventilation shaft, abandoning your equipment, but keeping your research notes and samples, hoping to find another safe location to continue your work. 3. Head to the basement and brave the flooded steam tunnels, taking your chances with whatever might be lurking in the dark water below. Now comment 1, 2, or 3 and subscribe for more.